So I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, right, about VR and VRChat, right? And this was on Telegram. And I said, they asked me, do you have any games that you play like a lot that you really enjoy? And I'm like, well, VRChat. I'm like super addicted to that right now. I got the full body tracking for a reason. Um, but and they were like, "Oh, I don't have a headset," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. I mean, you don't need one." And I hear this a lot, right? I hear people like, "Oh, I wanted to get into VR chat, but I don't have a headset." People still think that you have to have a headset to enjoy VR chat. Well, allow me to tell you, you don't. You really don't. I mean, you can go on desktop mode. Desktop mode is like mouse and keyboard controls, or you can use like an Xbox controller or whatever. If you have a controller for your PC, you can use that. It'll work. It um, it's just different. But either way, the point is there is desktop mode. Yeah, you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't move your arms. You can't do any of this. But you can still hang out with people. You can still play certain games on VR chat. You can still enjoy VR chat without a VR headset. You don't need it necessarily. Now, if you have a headset, then you can enjoy being able to move your arms, being able to hug people, head pat, boop, or whatever. Do whatever. It's VR. It's fun times. Um, and you get to experience VR. I mean, I will say VR is better with a headset, but it's not necessary. It's not required. It's better, yes, but it's like the difference between an iPhone 15 and an iPhone 15 Pro. There's going to be a difference. The Pro's going to have more features. It's going to be a bit more powerful, so on and so forth. Maybe more cameras. But the iPhone itself is usable. It's not junk. You don't need all the crazy features that the Pro or the Pro Max has, right? You really don't. You don't. It's just not necessary. It's not needed. Um, and full body is even less necessary. Like people with a headset are like, "Oh, I want full body tracking now." Yeah, I mean, you don't need it though. It's an extra perk. It's something that's nice to have, but it's not necessary. It's not the be all end all of things. It just isn't. So, you know, it just it's something extra. It's a perk. It makes it better, but it's not necessary. You can still enjoy VR from desktop. When I first got on VR, I was a desktop boy. Um, you know, I had the little VRChat devil avatar, and I was a desktop only person. I didn't have a headset. I never got into VR before, you know, 2022. Really. I thought it was a weird fad. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was just something that was like VR. Like, what the fuck is that? That sounds like a dumb gimmick to me. You know, that was my opinion on VR before I dove headfirst into it. And I'm glad I tried it. I'm glad I gave it a chance because now now I have a crippling addiction to VR chat. But hey, um, people also think, oh, but I don't have a custom avatar. Okay, so look for the public avatars and find one that suits you well enough. Doesn't have to be exactly tailored to you. If you want a custom avatar, you're gonna spend some money, or like, um, now it's a little cheaper to buy an avatar base and recolor it to suit you, kind of like I've done with this one, right? This is the Haramaki Mannequin. And I purchased the base, and then I took the texture files into Clip Studio Paint, not Photoshop. I don't own Photoshop anymore. But if that's what you use, whatever digital painting or art program you have, use it. But the Haramaki has a PSD file, and you can just recolor it. So that's what I did with this one. That's exactly what I did. I just recolored it. There you go. Boom. Done. Okay, it suits me now. It's my colors. Hey, whoa, cool. And you can do neat things like add textures to it, add assets to it. You can personalize it endlessly. It's great. And I only spent $30 on this thing. That's it. It's not bad. That's not bad. That's super inexpensive. So if you have extra money lying around, you can just buy an avatar base and recolor it to suit you. I recommend buying a base that you really like, because if you don't like it, well, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about VR and what it takes to get into it. But the truth of it is really nothing. If you have a decent enough laptop or desktop PC, you can get into it. If you have a Mac, you're fucked. I mean, Mac isn't compatible with anything, so, the usual story with Apple, with Macintosh. Hell, if you have an Android phone that's powerful enough, like a top of the line Galaxy or whatever, hey, guess what? You could get on VRChat on that, or Google Pixel, or whatever you have that, has a decent amount of power to it. You can get on VRChat on mobile now. They released it for beta. So you can hop on VRChat on your phone or your tablet. If you have an Android tablet, if you have a Galaxy tab or whatever, you can probably get on VRChat on that. There you go. Look at that. You're on VRChat. Fancy that. It's one of those things where it's becoming more universal. Now, will it ever come to iOS? I don't know. I mean, they've talked about it, but it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I don't know. I hope they do because, I have an iPhone, so I can't necessarily do it in my current state. But, I would like to try the mobile version at some point. I'm just more of a PC VR kind of guy because, I bought the Quest Pro for a reason and I bought the full body tracking once again for a reason. Um, it's one of those kind of things. So, it, the Quest Pro is evident in the fact that I have eye tracking. So, that was my main reason for that. Eye tracking, face tracking, all the fancy stuff. I don't have the blend shapes on this avatar yet. I would have to make those if I want to have full eye tracking, but and the headset you choose just depends on your needs or what you want to do with VR. So I've talked about the desktop experience. Let's talk about the Quest experience, the standalone headsets. Um, they're decent, but it's kind of limited unless you have a PC that can handle it. So I have a monster of a PC, and I started out on desktop because I didn't own a VR headset until December of 2022. I started VRChat in September 2022. It was September 27th. I decided to get on VR for the first time ever. I decided to install it because a friend of mine had been streaming it. And, I wanted to join him. I wanted to actually do something with him for once. So I'm like, you know, I'm going to see what this VRChat thing is all about. Why not? And I hopped in, and I'm glad I did. I met a lot of people through this, and it has blown up my Twitch stream now. I'm kind of still weirded out by that, but hey, I guess I'm not going to question it. It is what it is. It's interesting. VR has done a lot for me. Um, when I first got on desktop, I met some good friends through VR, and I'm still hanging out with them today. I'm still close friends with them, and we made bonds that are lasting, because we met in VR, and it was the birth of an amazing friendship, and I'm glad for that. I'm glad I took the chance. I'm glad I gave it a shot and ventured out and, you know, checked out something I thought was dumb before. When now I understand it. Now I'm like, okay, I see where all the hype is coming from. Okay. Well, shit. All right, that's a thing. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting how it evolved. I got my first headset in December 2022. This is a Quest 2. I still have it. It still works. Um, I've always connected to my PC with virtual desktop on it, though. I rarely do standalone because standalone is so limited. The standalone experience isn't as good as PC VR. It's a there are trade-offs between desktop and standalone. In desktop, you can't move your arms at all. And you can't see the VR view that you get with a headset. So when you're in desktop mode, everything is flat. It's not a three-dimensional space, it's flat. Um, it looks flat anyway. But when you're in VR, it looks so real. Like it's more three-dimensional. Stuff pops out. But on desktop, you can see every world. You can go to every world. And you can also see every avatar. Even in its full glory. Because PC doesn't have any limitations to it. But like I said, you can't move your arms. You can't move your legs. And you don't have tracking. So you're just stationary and you're using a mouse and a keyboard and a microphone, right? Which is fine. I mean, that's how I started out. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. Even though I was just a desktop boy, I loved it. I enjoyed my time in the desktop days. But when I got a headset, I really dove into it and I started to become extremely addicted to where I was getting on VRChat all the time. I was making new friends all the time and it got crazy. Before you knew it, I had my own custom avatar and I was in several groups already, VRChat groups. It's interesting. The world of VR just opens up, and in March of 2023 I got my full body tracking. So that was a perk. And now all of a sudden I can move my legs too, and I can do anything, really, ever since then. And then I got my Quest Pro in October. And ever since now I have eye tracking and stuff is more realistic. It's interesting. It's interesting. I'm even creating my own avatar from scratch. A custom one. That I'm making in Blender. And I'm soon gonna be finished with the mesh. And then all I have to do is unwrap it, texture it, rig it, create the blend shapes for Quest Pro so I can have full face tracking and eye tracking and lip tracking. It's gonna be pretty dope. And tongue tracking even. So I can, have the full package, and I'm planning at some point to get index controllers and use them with my Quest Pro so I have finger tracking. So then I have everything and I can just be the whole package and it's going to be super realistic at that point. But for now, I just have the Quest Pro controllers and they're pretty decent, like I can do stuff like this without issue. They're self-tracking. That's pretty nice, but they don't track your fingers, unfortunately, which is kind of a bummer. But, maybe in the future. Who knows? I guess we'll find out, huh? Um, it's just one of those things where as technology advances and improves for VR, we'll see what happens. Now they have self-tracking body trackers, so, who knows? Finger tracking could be standard across controllers in the next 5 years. Who knows? It's hard to say. Hard to say. You would be foolish to doubt it because the technology is advancing fast. I mean, we didn't have face tracking or eye tracking before the Vive Pro Eye, and the Index before that we didn't have finger tracking. It was just basic VR. Like when the Oculus released, it was the most basic VR. But it was good. It was just, it's dated by today's standards. VR headsets move quickly. Um, and it seems like Valve is falling behind on that, sadly. Valve had the most advanced headset when it first came out, which was the Index, but they just kind of fell to the wayside because they got too comfortable being on top, and that's great and all, but eventually you're going to lose that crown if you don't advance it and release another headset. They still haven't, and it's been 5 years. Good God, man. I think it's time for an update, for an upgrade. But I digress from that point. The point is, you can get into VR without a headset. You can get into, you know, VR without a computer. All you need is a Quest headset, one of the cheaper ones. That's the cheapest option, unless you get a Pico or one of the other, like, lesser known brands. I mean, the big three is Valve, Index, HTC Vive, and Meta Quest. Those are the big three. So, out of those three, the cheapest is Meta Quest. I got the Meta Quest 2 and the Meta Quest Pro. I guess I'm a Quest boy, but I'm not a fanboy. I'll be honest. I have my issues with Quest. I do love the Quest Pro because of the eye tracking and the neat features it has, but it's not perfect. It's far from it. The self-tracking controllers are really cool. The face tracking and the eye tracking are neat, but it's not perfect. It has its problems. I mean, Valve Index has its problems too. No headset is perfect. Vive has its problems. They all do. They all have problems. The pros and cons for all of them. It's user preference, That's just what I've found over the years. Desktop has its perks too, you know? So, it depends on what you're looking for. You can be perfectly fine just using desktop mode. I know a friend of mine that has only used desktop mode his entire existence on VRChat, and he's fine with it. And he uses a chat box to communicate. Sometimes he'll use the mic, but yeah, it's just one of those things where you tailor the experience to yourself. You don't need custom avatars. You don't need a headset. You don't need any of that. It's extra. It's a bonus. You can pick a public avatar that suits you. Hell, I was running around in public avatars when I first got on. Didn't matter to me. I was just enjoying the experience. To me, it's all about the experience. Fuck the avatars. Fuck the headset. The experience is all that matters. I met great people in my desktop days. Lasting friendships were created, were born out of it. And I'm in hundreds of communities now because of it. It's great. It's phenomenal. You also have the downsides to VRChat. I mean, there are downsides. Don't go to public worlds. Fuck's sake. Avoid public worlds. Don't go to public lobbies. They're fucking trash. There's gonna be some trash bag there. And it's gonna be a dipshit. Just avoid them. For your safety and for your sanity. Avoid them. Especially if you're a streamer. My God, don't go to public lobbies. always keep it, friends plus at the most, or group plus. Um, you know, but I'll do a different video on VRChat safety later. This is just talking about you don't need a headset to get into VR, and you don't need full body, and you don't even need a computer if you're on standalone headsets like the MetaQuest 3 or whatever. So don't think that you need custom avatars either. You don't. You can use public ones that suit you. There's millions of avatars on VRChat. You have a whole catalog. You go to Prismic's avatar search and go wild. Get whatever you want. You know? That's the beauty of VRChat. You can do whatever. So just do it. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Just do it. And, you'll thank me later. You'll thank me for motivating you to take the first step. Trust me. I did it and I was glad for it. The results speak for themselves. It might be slow at first. You might not have many friends on it. You might just be able to join somebody every once in a while, especially if they're busy recording or streaming or whatever. But, don't be shy. Go out and meet people. You never know. You might meet somebody you really mesh with, and that's what happened to me. It's not impossible. In fact, it's very, oh, that's a glitch. Interesting. I found the glitch part of the world. Interesting. But yeah, go wild. Have fun. VRChat is for fun. It's not meant to be taken seriously. I don't take it seriously. I just have fun. I enjoy the company of others, and I have fun with it. That's all. That's all you need to do. It's all you need to do. That's it. Have fun. Don't need a headset. Don't need a PC that's a supercomputer. You don't need that. You can enjoy VRChat from a laptop. Hell, you can enjoy it from an Android phone now, or an Android tablet. If you have a good enough tablet, you can get on VRChat. If your internet connection is decent, You need an internet connection and a headset if you want to do the standalone experience. If you don't have a PC, that is. If you don't have a PC, get a cheap Quest headset. If you don't have a headset, just use desktop mode if you have a laptop, or use mobile if you don't have a laptop or a headset. Most people have a smartphone these days. Or a tablet that you can get on it with. Just do that. There's unlimited options now. And, you can experience it for yourself. You can experience VR. It's beautiful. So, just do it. Just do it. What are you waiting for? Take the risk. It's worth it. But that's enough about that. I'll see you in the next video.